There she is. Now there she needs to sleep after she go on a whole vacation. Come back, go to stream every night. How dare she needs sleep? The nerve. The unmitigated gall. The audacity. Thank you for the raid, Tiff. You all good. You all good. Make sure y'all go give. If you haven't already, I don't know why you haven't. It's absolutely free to hit that button. Go to hit that big follow, please. She streams every night. Standard. Standard. 8 to 6. Allegedly. Sometimes kind of. Gotta be like big stuff. But no, just don't get your sleep up. Well, I can't talk tonight. Go ahead, I might be tired, but answer. Go ahead and get your sleep
is ready. Unless you can handle more of the enemy.
Busy. Still recovering from statement, I get it. I'm kidding. Just chill. Like I need you to raise this, how you back me? Okay, I'm sorry. Winston. Yeah, Statement, Winston, same thing. Both of them sound like they went to Yale University or something. No tea, no shade. Trey, it's not my brother. Hey, brother Trey.
Continue to defend. You will be rewarded for your bravery.
They already said. What's the back of all this? This time I want to I'm gonna do this. Start playing music to keep you out there. That way you can start now, think about it. Nobody telling you to rest do that. What's that song?
Well done, Tenor.
Or
Your relic is open.
What happened?
I lost that song. Play out this way.
Heroes are not going to cut this one. Sam Daddy's going to clean out the rooms, okay? Clean out the rooms, the hallways. Sam Daddy. Don't worry, Daddy's got you. Don't worry, Daddy's got you. Okay, that's nice. What's up to the chat? Anybody to the chat? Realize, my name is Lady Desi. I am Variety Streamer that's currently addicted to Warframe. I do play other games sometimes, games of Power, Rival, and many other types of games. Check me out anytime. I am here. I usually stream on Tuesday, Wednesday from 9 p.m. until 1 p.m. and Eastern Standard Time, and then Friday from 9 p.m. until, basically means I don't even know when I'm going to get off myself. But it's usually past the 1 p.m., 1 a.m. rather. And thank you all for coming over the raid. I definitely appreciate you guys.
Another opportunity to extract will appear soon.
Next up, another hour block of ad-free listening. Brought to you by the next 15 minutes of obnoxious products.
The relic has been cracked open. Finish your mission to find out what's inside.
Arcane sculptor. Get my efficient.
Yeah, the big corners.
Playing another game called Beast of Reincarnations.
I heard about one. Oh, that's a new
like that. I guess.
Yeah, that's a new thing I had. I'm working on changing a lot of things in the stream, trying to give y'all more of the interactive with on screen. Added. Type in exclamation fish. And pop up.
I just changed all my points today. I added a whole bunch of shit.
Extraction is ready. Unless you can handle more of the enemy.
I don't need to. Like, y'all don't be using it. That's what I'm talking about. I don't be using it. I'm like, okay, well, they don't use it anyway, and I would take it away. As soon as I do, what is it? I'm so sorry. I'll put it back. I'm gonna fight emote. Wait, like, yeah, you too. Where's my emote? Like, get it back up here. Like, hey, I ain't even really used it like that.
That's why I
We're done here. The extraction team will take over from here. Time to evacuate.
I hate when I have an email that I like from somebody that like gives me like a gifted sub somewhere I don't even know, and they have the coolest emotes. So I'm like, damn, this sub is up. I don't even watch them. I don't know them.
Yep.
I don't know how you get random gifted subs. I thought it was up to people in the chat or people in your follow list, but it goes all over Twitch, I guess.
It usually goes on your follow list. You're probably following them and normally, but
those are names that I have never seen, honestly. I just went through my entire following list.
Hey.
I had to block somebody.
You're pretty and smart and everybody likes you.
block somebody on Twitch.
People don't
Like abandon do the job. Abandon do the job. You gotta block them.
I blocked them. They were doing some shady stuff. Shady AF. I blocked them from my server. I blocked them from being able to contact me at all. Two people, actually. I don't play. We ain't gotta be weird in here. Like, this supposed to be a chill zone. Like, I'm not gonna be weird with anybody. You just gonna go. You're gonna disappear.
Were they trying to sell shit to you, or what?
No, it's a whole situation. Like, I don't even want to get into it on stream. It was a whole messy ass situation. Trying to be manipulative and stuff like that. Trying to manipulate people that follow me and start their own thing. I guess they were trying to pull people from my stream to go to their stream. And I'm like, that's not how that works. You have to build your own following. They don't know you.
And that, I mean, if they were to collab with you and actually put some effort into, like, being a part of your community, then that'd be a little different, I guess.
I don't need anybody I don't want anybody like that in my community. No, I don't want anybody. I'm so glad they're gone because now that I know what they were doing behind the scenes, it's more to it than what I'm alluding to. But yeah, I'm so glad they're gone. I'm like, yes, thank you for revealing.
That's all you want to say on stream. I get you.
Yeah, that's all I can say on stream. You have to just be careful because people get weird. I don't have time for it.
How much shit I get is not anymore. A bunch of people are trying to sell me the fucking car.
Yeah, it's just annoying.
Facts. That's why I put a application on my Discord because who are you? You know, who are you? And then why, people were contacting other members in the Discord, and that's one of the things that I have explicitly listed as you are not allowed to do. And I'm like, okay, so you gotta go. Ban. I don't mess around with it. I'm banning you because you obviously are a bot. And you have no business contacting other members. There's a general chat for a reason. Unless somebody has given you explicit permission to message them, don't message people. That's so weird. I was trash. That's right. I don't need anybody being disruptive in my server. I work too hard for this. I really take a lot of my time that I could be doing other stuff with and put it into
saw the number 1 fading away. At the same time, Violet's countdown above her head reached its final 3 seconds. Everyone rushed to show Violet their love and farewell. No one noticed me in the corner. Several surprised eyes instantly towards me. Violet's countdown and mine simultaneously hit 0. Everyone in my family could see the countdown floating above.
So what are incarn weapons in Warframe? Well, incarn weapons are some of the best weapons you can actually get your hands on in Warframe. And they can also be evolved and transformed to gain various perks and buffs to actually buff them and make them even stronger than their normal variants. I'm Tipsy, and today we'll be going over how to acquire incarn weapons and everything you should know about them, so let's just get right into it. So what makes incarn weapons different is that they actually have their own perk tree that upgrades certain stats for the weapons, making them stronger overall, and this is what we see inside the incarn evolution perk tree when we actually hover over incarn weapons such as this. As you can see right here, hovering over the 5th evolution slot on the Laphium, we will get 50% chance to deal 2000% damage on non-crit hits. And this is one of the perks for this weapon. And these evolution perks can then be changed freely, as each perk slot usually comes with 2 or 3 different buffs, where you can have one active on the weapon at a time, which opens up for many new builds for these weapons and incarn weapons. There's also something called the incarn mode, which is the first evolution perk slot, where you will actually be able to fill up a bar and then activate the weapon to turn it into its incarn mode. This usually makes it a lot stronger while you have the incarn mode active, and how and what the incarn mode actually does can be seen when hovering over the first perk in the evolution slot tree on the incarn weapon. And sometimes this might even completely change how the weapon actually works, like seen here. Like the turret going from shooting a little AoE ball into a laser weapon that AoEs enemies in range. Or the Strun shotgun turning a normal shotgun into an explosive one that actually does good amount of AoE damage in the targeted areas. Or the dual Icos going from a normal fast-paced melee weapon to actually when enemies die, they will turn into an AoE damaging cloud that will spread for each kill for a short amount of time. And many more wild transformations can be found in these incarn weapons, so look forward to them. And as mentioned, to activate the incarn weapon, it should be shown in the first evolution slot. So first you want to unlock the first evolution perk tree, and by hovering this, it will then show you how you can actually charge your incarn mode and activate it. Which is usually on ranged weapon, hitting weak spots to charge the incarn mode, and then hitting your heavy attack button to actually activate the incarn mode. Where on melee weapons you usually want to gain a 6x combo and then hit the heavy attack to actually activate the incarn mode. So in Warframe, the 2 most common ways to gain incarn weapons are actually through the Cavallero in Saruman or through the Steel Path to Vari Circuit. Starting with Cavallero, you will find him in the Holdfast Syndicate inside the Saruman, which you will have to have completed the Angel of Saruman quest to actually access this area. From him you can buy the 5 base incarn weapons using the Holdfast standing and then craft them in your foundry to actually use these weapons. And these these were actually the first batch of Incarn weapons introduced into the game, so these are like 5 of the base Incarn weapons. Cavalero offers the Ferrolex, the Idiom, the Lathium, the Fenimore, and the Parados, and if you're looking for a strong secondary weapon from this batch, the Lathium is definitely a top pick for the secondary weapon slot. However, keep in mind that all of these Incarn weapons are locked behind Mastery rank 14 and requires the right standing with the holdfast to actually purchase these. While some of the other Incarn weapons we will go over next doesn't have the same MR requirements and can be anywhere between MR0 and MR14. So the second main way to get Incarn weapons is through the Steel Path to Vary circuit, where most of them actually come from. But these works a little bit different. Instead of buying the weapons directly, here you will actually obtain an Incarn Genesis adapter, which can then be used to install onto the compatible weapons to actually transform them into their Incarn forms instead. So you only need to be able to equip the base weapon, so if you're only MR6 and you actually have a weapon that can turn into an Incarn weapon, you could already begin using Incarn weapons before MR14. But there's also a few extra Incarn weapons added through other sources. For example, the Onos or the Vuvex are actually obtainable through the Albrecht Labs. You can either buy these from Lloyd for the vessel Caballeros or farm them in the Disruption Mission Armatus on Deimos, and these also require MR14 though. Lastly, the newest Incarn weapon added to Warframe is the Tylus, and these can be obtained from Isle Weaver in Duvari after completing the Hex quest, and you can also purchase these from Akratis in the Dormy Zone. For something called the Scuttler Husk, and the Tylus actually requires MR12 to just use. Now, as these videos do take quite a while and effort to make, it would be greatly appreciated if you hit that like button right here, and if you want to see more, you could also subscribe to get notified for the next video. So most Incarn weapons in Warframe can be found in the Duvari circuit, but they work a little bit different than the other Incarn weapons as mentioned earlier. You will need to obtain a part called the Incarn Genesis adapter and perform a special crafting progress to actually get the weapon completely into an Incarn mode. So let's go over how that actually works. First, you need to have access to Steel Path, since this is where the Steel Path circuit is located inside Duvari. If you haven't unlocked Steel Path yet, you will have to talk to Tashin in any relay, and he will tell you which planets you will need to clear, and you will have to complete all the nodes on those planets to gain access to Steel Path. Now, if you have already done the normal circuit, the Steel Path version will feel very familiar, but with a little twist to it. Instead of choosing a Warframe as a reward when you start the Steel Path circuit, you will instead choose 2 different Incarn Genesis adapters. And the first is at level 5 circuit progression, while the second choice is gonna be level 10 circuit progression. So it is pretty straightforward. You'll just have to pick your 2 rewards and then play the circuit until you earn them, and this will then reward you with your Incarn Genesis adapters, which you can then turn into Incarn weapons later on.
How'd your back, you know? Rucker gets pretty aggressive.
Yeah, what's the point?
U.S. soccer team didn't want me. No idea why. Whatever. Oh, what's up? I know I'm an elite athlete. Just look what I can do at Citgo. People come up to me all the time and say, "You're the Pele of Citgo." Respect. I say more like the pay less, because that's what I'm doing with the Club Citgo app. Paying less for gas and snacks. Anyway, I'm not giving up. The team needs me. They don't call me Ronald Citgo for nothing.
Weapons later on. The Duvari circuit also works on something called the rotation system, meaning that the available Incarn Genesis options change each week, and the rotation lasts for 8 weeks before repeating, and everyone shares the same weekly rotation. And one of the best rotation, personally I would say, is week 5, as featuring all of the infested weapons like the Toroid, the Dual Toxicus and the Dual Icos, which are definitely some fan favorites for sure. So if you're after a specific Incarn weapon, you will have to wait for its rotation to come around to get its Genesis adapter. And if you don't want to wait, or you like to grab more than 2 Genesis choices per week, you can also buy the current rotations Incarn Genesis adapters and required resources directly from Cavalero for Platinum. So to summarize this, inside Duvari Steel Path circuit, you will get 2 Incarn Genesis choices per week from that week's rotation. Play the circuit to unlock them, and then craft the Incarn weapons to actually add them to your arsenal. and we will go over how to craft them now. So once you have obtained your Incarn Genesis adapter, you are ready to actually begin crafting the Incarn weapon. But first you'll need the crafted version of the base weapon that the Genesis actually applies to. This is the weapon you will be transforming into an Incarn weapon using the Genesis adapter which you have earned from the circuit. And since you are about to turn a normal weapon into an Incarn version, it is worth doing a little bit of research on the weapon beforehand. Some weapons have Prime, Prisma or Ref or other variants, and these variants all count as the same weapon type, but come with different stats. So make sure you're upgrading the version of the weapon you actually want to. For example, you probably don't want to turn your MK1 Strun into an Incarn MK1 Strun, if you could have used the Prime or Ref version instead. So that's basically how it works. Here you can see all of your available Incarn weapons which you have, and also the ones that are ready to be transformed into an Incarn weapon, as long as you have both the base weapon and the matching Incarn Genesis. And to craft it, you will need the base weapon, the Incarn Genesis adapter, 20 path of clamps, and 2 different Dubarry resources. These Dubarry resources can be found in the Dubarry experience, of course, and here's a little tip to how to gather them a little bit easier. So you can actually go in on solo mode into Dubarry experience and farm your resources, then complete a small task to earn a degree, and doing so will actually save your inventory progress, and that way you can actually safely leave the run without losing any of the resources you have picked up. There's even a degree inside Dubarry that doubles all the resources you pick up, and if you want to add that with a resource booster, you could get loads of Dubarry resources fairly quickly. While for the Path of Clams, which are normally obtained by defeating the Ori Worm by doing a complete run of the Dubarry experience or the Lone Story. But if you actually progress your main quest line to the quest called Hex, you can also do another mission called Isle Moonrock mission inside Dubarry and obtain Path of Clams at the end of that mission, while also farming the Oraxia Warframe. And once you have got everything you need ready, all you need to do is click the upgrade button on the weapon, and this will actually transform it into the Incarn version ready to use. Once you have obtained the Incarn weapon, you can access the upgrade tab either by visiting Caballero and selecting the Evolved Incarn Weapons option, or directly inside your arsenal by equipping the weapon and looking at the right side. Most Incarn weapons will have around 4 to 5 evolution perks, depending on whatever is a raw Incarn weapon or it's a Dubarry crafted Incarn weapon. And the first evolution slot always unlocks the ability to activate the Incarn mode, while the rest are upgrade perks that you can actually unlock by completing the small task, and one for each evolution tier. And each task will tell you what to do, and when it mentions the Incarn form, that refers to charging up the weapon and actually activating the Incarn mode, which is the weapon's special mode, which you unlock after the first evolution slot. And once you then finish a challenge on your weapon, just go back into the arsenal and look at your weapon to see what you unlock and see what the next channel will be as you progress your weapon through the evolution tree. And then you will gradually unlock the full potential of your Incarn weapons. And these can be changed freely in your arsenal, letting you experiment and customize your weapon to fit your build or playstyle. And that's really all there is to it. Get your Incarn weapons, complete the evolution tasks, unlock the different perks, and choose the upgrades that fit your setup the best. And that is pretty simple, right? And with that, the basics of Incarn weapons should be covered, how they work and how to get them, and how to actually craft and evolve them. Now you can start farming for your next Incarn weapon that will absolutely destroy enemies, because these are easily some of the strongest weapons in the game right now. So if you found this video helpful, have gotten the information you came for, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out and I really appreciate it. Then if you want more Warframe tips, you could also check out my other videos, as well as there's loads of Warframe videos right now. We do also have a Discord server, so feel free to hop in there and become part of the community, so join the Discord. And thank you again to the supporters over on Patreon, as seen here. You are really appreciated, so thank you. Stay tuned, stay tipsy, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
Tasty travels. Merge game. Install and go.
You have broken their ranks and they are on the run. Another successful mission.
You have just finished the Star Chart and you are welcomed with open arms to the Steel of Path. You load up E Prime once again and simply slap enemies with your wet noodle of a weapon. Or you just get one shot over and over again. Well, my lovely Tenno, don't worry, I will be going through everything you need to make Steel Path easier and start shredding enemies. This video will also be for those of you who have progressed a little and are just wondering why you cannot survive or do enough damage. Let's get into it. Just a quick disclaimer though, I am going to assume that you have a basic understanding of modding and how elements work in Warframe. So if you're someone who's watching this video and is completely lost, I would recommend you go and watch a more beginner-focused video first to get caught up to speed. Okay, you've transitioned from Star Chart into Steel Path. First, you need to understand that transitioning into Steel Path in Warframe is meant to be hard, and you are supposed to be under-geared unless someone has helped you and guided you. You will need to not dive straight into Steel Path when you unlock it. I know, it's a bit weird. You will be required to start farming a few things first. You need more damage and more defensive layers. The first thing you need to go and do is farm your arbitration mods. Galvanized mods, adaptation, and rolling guard. Luckily for us, you actually gain access to arbitrations much earlier now. Once you've completed a task in the Pluto to Eris junction in the Star Chart, you gain access to this lovely game mode. In these special missions, you will find arbitration drones that will drop Vitus Essence. Farm Vitus Essence, head on over to the Arbiters of Hexus in a relay, and start gathering your galvanized mods. If you'd like an order of priority, I would say get adaptation and rolling guard first, your multi-shot galvanized mods, condition overload type galvanized mods like aptitude, shot, and so on, all melee galvanized mods, and then the crit mods. Once you have these, great, now you can level them up as much as you possibly can. A rank 6 to 8, depending on your ender reserve, will be perfectly fine. But slowly work towards maxing all of them because they are incredibly important and you'll be using them forever and ever. Focus on the multi-shot ones first, and then slap on the multi-shot mods on your primaries and secondaries. And now you already have a massive damage boost. Adaptation and rolling guard are just super helpful in Steel Path for your squishier frames. Okay, arbitrations are covered. Let's talk defensive layers. This is completely frame dependent. Some frames that you use will just naturally be super tanky and you do not need to worry too much about this at all. For those of you who are running frames that are squishier and you would like them to be a bit tankier, then this is for you. First, decide what method you'd like to use to survive better. I have just made a video going over all of the ways to survive easier in Steel Path, so please when you have time, go and watch that video and pick which one you like. But as a summary for you watching this video, Step 1. Decide on adaptation or rolling guard. Personally, I really like adaptation, but you give it a try and see which one you survive with more. Then, to take it further, you can decide the different methods of surviving. You can go for shield gating. For this, you need brief respite, the aura, and preferably an auger mod in your build. This converts your energy cost of abilities when you cast them into shields, allowing you to survive easier. Shield tanking is the go-to option that I would personally recommend, but it comes down to personal preference. Here you make use of adaptation and arcane aegis. The beauty of this method is that you literally need a rank 0 arcane aegis and it will work perfectly fine. It's minimal effort that is super effective. You can make this better by pairing this with frames that already have innate damage reduction to their abilities, and you can put on brief respite to help with maintaining your shields as well. Next is health tanking. This consists of using armor and scaling your health. Adaptation again for damage reduction. Running Umbral mods to scale health, strength, and armor, although I will say this is expensive to run, so I wouldn't recommend diving into a triple Umbra setup or double Umbra setup straight away. And then you could go Arcane Guardian as a budget option. For the most part, using adaptation or rolling guard and using one of these methods for defensive layers is more than enough in early Steel Path. Realistically, your Warframe should carry you, depending on the frame, of course. One of the biggest things that people don't really speak about much when it comes to Steel Path and Warframe in general is being able to cast your abilities as much as you can without energy problems. This is where I would recommend putting equilibrium on the majority of your frame builds unless the frame already has very good energy sustain. I would then recommend farming since deconstruct to put on your companion. This increases the chance of dropping health orbs, meaning equilibrium procs more often, meaning that you can just have much better energy sustain, and you're good to go to cast your own ability. Play around with these methods and see what works for you. But please don't try and invest heavily into these defensive methods just yet. Try and go for the budget options if possible and see how they feel. And that is defensive layers in a nutshell. And if I can ask that you could smash that like button, it really helps spread the video out to the algorithms. Thank you so much. Let's talk damage. You need to do more damage. That is one of the biggest priorities when moving into steel paths. This depends on the weapon, of course. It depends on how good your weapon is and how you go about building your weapon, what elements, and so on. I want to make this very, very clear from the start that this applies to Warframes as well. You do not need primed mods to do enough damage. The amount of damage you do ties directly into how you go about modding your weapon and the tools that you can utilize to help you deal more damage. For your weapon builds, putting the galvanized mods on for multi-shot and galvanized steel for your melee is already a huge DPS increase. Normally, in Star Chart, you would have your base damage scaling through the respective mods like Serration, Hornet Strike, Pressure Point, and so on. Now, you will need to keep these mods on as you start to do your first few missions, and that is because you don't have your arcades. I would highly recommend farming your Steel Path incursions to start getting Steel Essence. You can slowly start farming the arcanes as well from the Steel Path acolytes. A nice crit-based framework for someone who does not have the arcanes just yet would look like this. A status-focused setup for weapons with high status chance would look like this. Now, for the frameworks that I just shown, and also for what I'm about to show, please understand this is just a framework. It does change per weapon, so please understand that you can change out the builds or anything like that. It's not something that you have to stick to. It's just to give you an idea. Like I said, your number one priority right now is farming your Steel Path arcanes. Primary Merciless, Deadhead, and Dexterity are incredibly important, and it's the same thing with secondaries as well. These arcanes will now be your means of scaling your base damage in your setups. There are many frameworks when it comes to making builds with any weapon, but generally speaking, a budget Steel Path build would look like this. This focuses more on crit, covers multi-shot, fire rate, elements, and we have our base damage scaling through the arcane. For a weapon that is more status focused, this is what the build framework would look like. Another mod that is incredibly handy to use is the Elementalist mods, especially if you are making use of a damage over time status effect in your setup, or if you're opting for blast. Again, change the elements to what you want, it's just a framework. For melees, however, you'll have access to melee arcanes a bit earlier than Steel Path, and hopefully you farmed a few by now. Honestly, this does come down to personal preference and what you like. For flat damage, melee exposure is just absolutely godly for most melees. Otherwise, melee influence and afflictions are just absolute cheat codes in this game to do ridiculous damage with minimal investment. Personally, I find that most melee builds follow a very similar framework. Here is one that will work on most, but please, again, take with a pinch of salt. I hate to keep plugging videos, but I have made a 3-part series going over how to mod anything in Warframe that will teach you the frameworks in depth and help you to understand. Some general mods that I would recommend you get if you have not yet done so is the 60/60 elemental mods are incredibly handy to help you certain damage over time setups. All of your corrupted mods are just handy to have, and like I said, elementalist mods are also very, very good. Great, so we have the frameworks out of the way, but maybe you feel like you're not doing enough damage or just don't understand how to do more damage. This is where elements come into play. Using the right elements in Warframe is crucial, especially when you're starting out in Steel Path. You don't have access to all the fancy weapons, you don't have access to all the fancy mods and different tools. When you start to unlock some more overpowered weapons and make use of different mechanics, then you don't need to worry too much about what element you run. But one thing I will say is it is important to switch out the elements for the respective factions that you are fighting against in the beginning of Steel Path. And it is also very important to focus on damage over time status effects to help you. Good elemental combos to go for, of course, Corrosive Heat. Viral and the slash-based weapon is also still pretty viable. Black Toxin for Corpus or Magnetic even. And of course, you can dabble in other elements for other factions. Just you have a look and see which ones work for.
Celebrating 30 years of Pokemon, I was using my favorite Pokemon TCG. Some nostalgic, which all means so much to me. Being such a big Oshawott fan, I love how you can see how Oshawott's card evolves over time. It still stays the same. Oshawott's my favorite. What's your favorite Pokemon TCG card? Thank you to Pokemon for sponsoring this video.
Note for tool people.
Once more. The next key thing to start doing more damage is making use of certain Warframe abilities. Many Warframe abilities help you deal more damage by armor stripping enemies, which is a fantastic way to just deal more damage against enemies that are armored. Some abilities just outright give your weapons a fat damage boost or applying damage vulnerability onto enemies. You get the idea here, it's important to use your Warframe's abilities that actually help you deal more damage. This ultimately leads me onto the helmet segment. The helmet segment is incredibly important in Warframe. Slowly working through this segment and subsuming Warframes is a high priority for someone starting out in Steelpath. By now, you would have had access to this for quite some time, but it's important for you to start focusing on it to get it out of the way. There are many good subsumes, but a few ones that I would highly recommend are Rhino's Roar for increasing your overall damage with abilities, and also acting as a double-dipping damage increase with damage over time status effects. Mirage's Eclipse, Banshee's Silence for crowd-controlling enemies and silencing them, Grendel's Nourish for more energy sustain and viral damage increase, Jade's of Phantom Eyes for armor stripping and slowing down enemies, Nova's Null Star for damage reduction, Volt's shock ability when using his Augment Shock Trooper, Giljan's Pillage for shield gain and defense stripping, Necros's Terrify for armor stripping and scaring enemies away. These are just a few that I would recommend. Realistically, you need to get all of these subsumes, so don't be afraid to just start racking them up and trying them on, especially as you start farming the prime version of said Warframe. The helmet segment is such a great way to help you pick up the slack on certain Warframes with their defensive ability or damage increasing ability. It's why it was put into Warframe in the first place. It fills the gaps of certain Warframes to make them significantly better or provide something that you are looking for. Which of course leads me onto Archon Shards, a massive part of Steelpath. Archon Shards allow you to increase some of your ability stats like strength and duration, and also have the potential to get a huge damage increase from them. They provide quality of life buffs like passing speed, arc velocity, more energy, shields, and just so much more. Passing speed is a massive quality of life feature in Warframe in general. Arc velocity is just a bonus and it won't really help you survive better or deal more damage, but it's just nice. Start stacking up your Archon Shards via Temporal Archimedia, Deep Archimedia, Extra Cells, Hunts, and the 1999 Calendar. Also, working towards the Coalescent Fusion segment, you gain access to the Emerald, Topaz, and Violet Archon Shards. Overall, the helmet is something that benefits you greatly in Steelpath. Next up is Companions. Please do not sleep on Companions. These guys are insanely powerful and incredibly important in keeping you alive and providing utility buffs that make your life easier. What companion you decide to go for really does come down to your personal preference, what you have available, and so on. Making use of bond mods will make your Steelpath experience a lot better, since Deconstruct is a must-have if you're using Equilibrium, and I know this sounds so obvious, but please make sure that your companion is vacuum or fetch. It's just a must-have in Warframe. Companions can also deal lots and lots of damage with the right setups. They distract enemies, provide you with unique buffs. I will be making a top companion list very soon, because there are so many companions, just different ones entirely. I would like to at least give you a framework that you can work towards. Robotic companions would look like this, so cover all of the basics, exclude the specific mods tied to the companions, unique abilities, and some bond mods that you can choose. Beast companions will look something like this. Fill the mod slots as you gain more and more things, or use what you have available. And also, feel free to change up whatever you want, please. I can't stress this enough. Up next is Focus Schools. This is so underrated in helping you through your Steelpath experience. Investing into Minari Employees will help you drastically, especially if you do not have access to Prime Share Foot. This stops you from getting knocked over. Vazarin is just a fantastic way to survive easier if you invest into something like Protective Sling and Guardian Shell. Slowly working towards finishing your way balance is also so important in Steelpath, especially gaining access to Last Gasp. Do not sleep on Focus Schools, they help you drastically. Operator Arcanes are also quite handy in keeping you alive and so on. Now you may be wondering, what about weapons? What weapons should you get? Myself and many other creators have made tons of lists for you to go and pick what you want, but my biggest advice to you, can't stress this enough, is just use what you think looks cool, what you enjoy. That is honestly all that matters. As long as you're having fun, that is the most important thing. I would, however, recommend you immediately start farming your Steelpath circuits every week so that you can start gathering the enhanced weapons. In
Final weapons are a cheat code and by far among some of the strongest weapons in Warframe right now. They are Warframe's end-game weapons per se. They are fun, they have gimmicks, they don't need much investment to start with big damage. But again, I have to reiterate this, just play any Warframe, play any weapon that you want. The beauty of this game is any weapon in Warframe can work if you put enough time and investment into it. Now, if you have completed everything up until now and feel like you're still lacking in damage, then you can take it one step further. By now, I'm sure you've heard the term CO scaling and so on, or condition overload type mods. These mods are the main reason most people absolutely shred Steel Path with their setups. Condition overload mods make Steel Path easy. They act as follows. You gain increased damage, no status effect applied to enemies. This will be used in conjunction with a high status charge weapon or a weapon that applies many status effects, or a primer. A primer can be in the form of your weapons or a companion primer. One of the best and easiest primer weapons is the Epitaph and the Unicorn. There are many more options, but these are the easiest. The whole point of primers is to put as many status effects as possible on enemies so that you can scale your condition overload type mods. The more you apply, the more damage you do. It's that simple. If you want a good companion primer, the Deriva with Arcor and Prime Laser Rifle is very good, or just Laser Rifle, or a Hound with Synergized Prospectus. Most weapons, not all though, but most will definitely benefit from condition overload type mods. Insanely good. AoE damage, however, is not affected by condition overload. However, some weapons have a multiplicative bonus to CO scale, which is huge. Bonus tips. This is something that's not really spoken about much, but as you progress in your path, it is a good idea to slowly invest into your amps. There are some very important use cases for amps, and having them available when you work towards them, or just, when you get to that point, is just handy. And when you get access to Last Gasp, you will need a good amp and arcanes to be able to kill enemies easier to get back up after going down. The 147, 547, 177, and the 777 are really good options for this. I would also recommend using Eternal Renegade and Eternal Onslaught for amp arcanes too. This, of course, is for people who have not invested into the amps just yet and they're already in Steel Path. Another thing, get yourself energy pads to help you in a pinch run out of energy in Steel Path. Bind it to a keybind that is easy for you to remember. It's something that's just nice to have. And that pretty much sums up Steel Path. If you make use of all of these things that I mentioned in this video, how much more are you willing to invest into weapons and warframes, getting prime mods, getting more of the arcanes that are expensive, or the expensive mods, you name it. Everything is up to you now. I have also just made a utility video for those of you who are interested. I go over all of the handy things in Steel Path to help you have a better experience. As long as you tick the boxes of not dying, dealing enough damage, and having enough energy sustained, you don't need to worry. I hope you learned something new and enjoy Steel Path more. Have fun. Thank you so much for watching the video, and a huge thank you to our channel members. You guys are absolutely amazing. I will see you all in the next video. The rest is pretty Hi, what's up sweeties? My name is Ken2D, I'm a streamer and Warframe nerd. I wanted to make a little video explaining how things works, because she's the bloody thing. Now, let's have a look at her abilities first. And see here that her passive gives her critical chance every time enemies get radiation procs or fuse in affinity range, up to 200%. Pretty good. At base, also with mind control, actually really good ability, and later on, really important bit to her kids for making it absorb really big. I'll go that into later in the video. We have Psychic Bolt, which honestly is very important for her survivability these days. Today in Warframe, we're going to go over how you can get some of the strongest weapons in the game, incarnate weapons, as well as incarnate adapters, and we'll explain all of that. So let's start off with, what are incarnate weapons? Incarnate weapons in Warframe are weapons which have essentially two firing modes, and they transform, such as base incarnate weapons are Fenmore and Fellarks, whereas all of these other incarnate weapons are incarnate adapter weapons. Incarnate weapons, initially, they have 4 separate upgrades and a evolution. You hit Alt Fire to transform it, and you hit weak points in order to charge it. So we'll show it off a little bit later in using incarnate weapons, but as for right now, that's how you charge it up, and then you essentially choose evolutions for 2, 3, 4, 5, and each of these are essentially just damage increases, with the final one, in this case, being 50% chance to deal 2000% damage on non-crits, so, you know, you can get some goofy stuff off there. And there are incarnate primary weapons, there are incarnate secondary weapons, such as the Latum, and then all the other ones, Onos, are incarnate adapters, and there are also incarnate melee weapons and incarnate adapter melee weapons. Base incarnate, right, very good stuff. The difference between a incarnate weapon and adapter is the incarnate adapter transforms an already created weapon into an incarnate weapon. But instead of having 5 evolutions, it only has 4. In order to upgrade each one of these evolutions and unlock them, by the way, you have to equip your incarnate and do a little challenge. It's usually something easy, like transform it 5 times or kill 100 enemies in incarnate form, things like that. But again, it gives just damage upgrades, like base damage, combo count increases, right? Combo count duration increase, and then huge crit chance increase, status chance, base crit or status. So you do get a ton of upgrades once you actually create an incarnate weapon, and that is why these are currently kind of the strongest weapon in the game. So yeah, let me know what you think, everyone. As always, sub, like, and you can use Epic Games creator code PUBSKER to support the channel. Just check out any social medias, and we will go on to how to unlock the base incarnate weapons. Incarnate weapons base are unlocked essentially in 3 areas. First is unlocking the Angels of the Zariman. So in order to do this, unlock the quest Angels of the Zariman, and then you are able to go down to the Chrysalith in order to buy the incarnate weapons. So we'll quickly take a look at the shop here to buy the incarnate weapons. You can see Caballero is to purchase and evolve weapons. Here you can browse wares, which are some incarnate weapons: the Latum, the Inidum, the Fellarks, and the Praetos, Fenmore, and then just other arcanes and stuff. So this is where you can buy some incarnates initially. That is Angels of the Zariman, again, is the quest you have to complete to unlock all of this. It'll take a little bit of time, and that's okay. These aren't necessarily in order, but there are just, keep in mind, 3 areas to unlock incarnate weapons. You can always evolve incarnate weapons, and this is where you go in order to increase their evolutions when you're doing their challenges, as well as, I think, increase all of their evolutions and actually upgrade them. So you will need to unlock this probably first in order to get all of that done. And then this is also where you can buy incarnates that are weekly swap outs for the incarnate adapter system that I'll explain a little bit more after. But these are incarnate adapters. They swap out weekly and you can buy them here. So not bad, but this is just the first area of incarnates in Warframe. So hey, keep that in mind. And I should probably also mention, if you didn't catch it, that the standing for Caballero the Zariman, standing the holdfast, that's what you use to purchase those initial incarnates from that shop there. And you do have to be a high enough master rank in order to, like, trade everything, so hey, not bad, but just keep that in mind. The next area to get incarnates is actually in the Whispers in the Walls area. If you don't know, that is Deimos Sanctum Anatomica. You have to complete Whispers in the Wall, Deadlock Protocol, get all of those quests complete in order to unlock Sanctum Anatomica. And this is where you can actually farm a couple of the incarnates as well. You can, I think, on drop rotation, farm the Armistice Disruption, or you can buy it from the sanding shop on Sanctum Anatomica, the same as previously in the Zerman. So we'll quickly take a look. Once you have all of that unlocked, come over to Lloyd here. You can always fast travel onto Lloyd, and in order to...
Feeling creative? Here's a few pieces I put together in my own time. Void knows I got plenty of that. Take a closer look if you need to. Take your time. Admire all you like, but even my time shouldn't be wasted. Okay, tool up. Once it's out of my hands, it's no longer my responsibility. So, you interested in custom tune-ups for your gear? Take your time. I can wait. Stay sharp.